Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the Human Services Advisory Commission meeting on August 28th. Could we start with a roll call, please?
Chair Lurie.
Here.
Vice Chair Jung.
Here.
Commissioner Jamison. Here. Commissioner Scheer. Commissioner Cooley.
Here.
Commissioner Hill.
Here.
Commissioner Rowe.
Here.
Chair Lurie, you have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, this is a time reserved for public comment. Citizens may address members of the commission during this time. It's reserved for non-agendized items. Arizona state law prohibits the commission from discussing or taking action on the items, and testimony is limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Do we have any written comment cards?
Chair Lurie, no, we do not.
All right, moving forward, you all should have received the regular meeting minutes from August 14th, our last meeting. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All right, and let's proceed with a roll call vote, please.
Chair Lurie.
Yes.
Vice Chair Jung.
Yes.
Commissioner Jamison.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooley.
Yes.
Commissioner Hill.
Yes.
Commissioner Rowe.
Yes.
So moving forward with our regular meeting agenda, we have Amanda Siegel from the Scottsdale Paradise Valley Family YMCA. Amanda, thank you for being here.
Passing out some graphically designed thank yous from our 2-year-olds.
Oh.
And they've been working on their circles, so you can get some circles on the back.
Oh my gosh. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Amanda Siegel, Executive Director of the Scottsdale Paradise Valley YMCA, and I'm so excited to tell you about some of our incredible programs and how we're partnering with the City of Scottsdale to really maximize impact. Next slide. First up is why OPUS. So OPUS stands for Outreach Program to Aging Seniors. We serve this population through free services. Primarily, these revolve around transportation to basic necessities, including doctor's appointments, grocery shopping, and monthly socials. But we also provide technology assistance and household assistance as well. Our primary age group is between 84 and 99 years old. Go ahead to the next one. Here you can see some stats. This is from this year, January to July. You'll see that we have served the Scottsdale seniors with over 7,000 miles driven and over 900 hours of direct in-person service. The numbers on your left will show you the types of services we're doing. 31% are transportation to medical appointments. That was 31. 24% to shopping, that's groceries, and 22% to monthly social events. And we recognize that for this population, these types of errands carry much more significance and meaning than perhaps most of us can fully appreciate. To demonstrate that, I'd like to introduce you to Chris. And Chris is one of our seniors, and this is what she wrote about the program. She said, "This is a lifesaver for me. With no family or other support, although I'm in my late 80s, I used to walk to a local Kroger store, but it closed in May last year. Scottsdale Paradise Valley YOPUS has taken me to Trader Joe's to get affordable foods and to stay healthy. Thanks to staff and some loving and caring volunteers, a new volunteer, Isaac, was the latest a busy dad." We've known Chris since May of 2024, and since then, she has benefited from 38 appointments with YOPUS. Now, Chris is almost 89. She is hard of hearing, and like most of OPUS seniors, and probably many you know, she does not drive. Additionally, she has no family, as she mentioned, or support system in her life locally. So facing this type of challenges would be hard for someone of any age. But for a senior who has a fixed income and additional medical challenges, this is debilitating. The isolation that she faced before she was integrated with the OPUS program, she describes as more than she could bear. So we're so glad that we've been able to serve her during this time. She mentioned that she was walking to and from the grocery store. At one point, she even suffered heat stroke because she was trying to make this happen on her own. And as she mentioned, eventually the grocery store closed and it was impossible for her. So Opus has allowed her to get basic needs met, such as daily nutrition, and then trips to those doctor's appointments. She's also been attending monthly socials, and got tech support with her phone. This is a big deal. You can go ahead to the next one. So here you'll see the growth of our program. Opus has been in existence since May of 2024, and this is just a snapshot of a few months. Sorry, I said 2024. In 2023 is when we began. The gray bars are 2024 numbers from January to July, and the blue bars are this past year, 2025, from January into July. So we continue to see expanded growth, and ultimately we are so excited to continue to serve more Scottsdale seniors with the partnership with the City of Scottsdale. Since July 1, so 2 months ago, we have been able to serve 23 Scottsdale seniors, and we're really proud of that and excited to continue to expand our program. We pull a lot of our volunteers from our YMCAs, but recently to expand the program, we've also done a direct mail campaign to reach outside of our typical networks as we recruit more volunteers. Our board of advisors and our volunteer recruiters are continuing to bring in more volunteers and onboard them and train them. And ultimately, this is life-changing work in terms of how the seniors are affected, and it just goes to show how volunteers have a massive impact. And none of it would be possible without funds like the ones that are secured from the Human Services Commission, so we're really grateful for that. Next program I'm gonna touch on is our youth development programs. Our first one is Y Academy. This is our early learning program that serves ages 1 through 5. Currently, 50% of those enrolled are Scottsdale residents, and of those, 70% of those students are on some version of financial aid or assistance. Now, I don't have to tell the parents in the room that childcare and preschool costs are they're astronomical. And so we're really proud that as an organization, we stand in the gap for parents and we don't turn anybody away for inability to pay. We work with them and try to find that sweet spot where we can provide them with scholarship and assistance at a space that they can afford so that we can give them exactly what it is that they need. When our students come into the program, they experience academic curriculum, they experience physical activity, social emotional learning, and they also receive 2 nutritious snacks per day. One of the families that I'd like to tell you about here is Grayson's. Grayson is 4 years old. One of you got his card, but he's not allowed to put his name on it. And he comes from a low-income family led by a single mom. They're new to our program. They used to participate with a different facility, but after too many negative experiences, they began at the Y Academy at the beginning of August. So literally less than a month ago. Grayson exhibits some challenging behaviors and struggles to separate from his mom. And what's amazing is that in less than a month, his mom has described him as happier, that his behaviors are improving at home, and that he even asks to come to school, which is a big deal. And when he's with us, he puts on the cowboy boots that we have in our dramatic play area, and he uses toys for shields as he marches around to be a superhero. So we love families like Grayson, and it's, again, through our financial assistance that we're able to provide him with nutrition and education in that space. Go ahead to the next one. Our other youth development program is our after-school program. It's a before and after for school-aged kids. This serves those in kindergarten through 6th grade. Again, 50% of these children enrolled are Scottsdale residents, and we partner with 9 schools for this program, and we provide transportation to school in the morning, and then we pick them up again in the afternoon, and they begin our daily curriculum while they're with us. Our daily curriculum is focused on STEAM activities, and they rotate from different rooms to experience different activities in their daily curriculum. They also are provided with a nutritious snack as soon as they come into our doors. And then next one for me. In 2023, we were able to provide Scottsdale residents with $70,000 of financial assistance. And this past year, in 2024, we were able to increase that to $80,000. And what that looks like, to give you an example, I'd like to tell you about Tanya's family. Tanya was a mom of 2 elementary-aged daughters, and they fled an unsavory domestic situation and landed in a shelter. Now, Tanya has a job, and she was working hard to continue to provide for her family and imagine their next chapter. But again, as parents know, work schedules and school schedules are rarely collaborative, and so she was finding it challenging to provide supervision, to keep her kids safe. Plus, there are some policies in the shelter, so she's trying to figure all of that out and still make her income and keep her job. Our child care director learned of this situation, and we have what we affectionately refer to as the purple Ubers. There are YMCA minibuses. They're purple. And he drove this bus to South Scottsdale to pick up these 2 elementary-aged girls from their school every day for about a month. To do that, we had to give them a 100% scholarship to bridge that gap. And what's really amazing about this story, we don't always get to see what the next chapter looks like for families. Sometimes we're just one page in a very long book. But in this particular instance, during that 1 month of service, this family was able to secure housing. And this is such a critical thing that many of you in the room can appreciate more than most, probably. In that temporary time of assistance, we were able to provide lifetime impact and change the narrative of that family so they didn't need to experience a life unhoused or a life where they were encountering other challenges that could have been avoided. And so when they exited our program and were able to, again, get permanent housing and figure out a new rhythm within their local community in Scottsdale, we were just so happy and so proud to assist them in that way. Next one. So thank you for helping us to provide ultimately 40 low-income Scottsdale students with affordable quality childcare and with nutrition daily. And then thank you also for the 50 Scottsdale seniors that we're able to serve through your help. This kind of work is preventative for larger issues that our city might have to face, and we are just so grateful to continue to expanding the work with your assistance. So we're really grateful for the City of Scottsdale and the Human Services Commission. Happy to take any questions you might have.
Amanda, thank you for being here. Thank you for your enthusiasm and passion for what you do. Looking around, Commissioner Cooley.
Thank you. Amanda, great. It's so heartwarming to hear some of those stories. I just have 2 quick questions for you. The first one is, during Greek Heritage Month, is Opus pronounced Iopas? No? Okay. And then on slide...
I'm not the cultural expert, so I'd have to phone a friend.
That's
yeah.
me neither. Although my wife is part Greek, so
I love it.
and I know that Roger's been there. So, and then I think it's slide 4, your Opas bar graph, the blue and gray. Interesting to see that in the previous year it had dipped in April, and then in the current year that was a peak month. What do you think that was all about?
Yeah, so the program revolves around volunteers, and I would say the average avatar of the volunteer who serves with this program tends to be in that late 50s to 60s range. They're trying to pay it forward to those older seniors, but they are able to drive, and maybe they're thinking of their parents, and they're trying to really assist that age group. For where we're located, we see a pretty big migration seasonally of that demographic. And so our first year and even part of our second year launching in that summer dip, right before summer hits, April, May, we tend to see a bigger challenge in getting volunteers in. It's not that the seniors don't have the need is there, but our challenge is to match them with volunteers who are available. In following years, we've built up enough of a volunteer base where that dip affected us less.
That's great. And is there a place on the website for volunteers to go?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, we use a platform called Volunteer Matters. And so that handles everything from driving credentials, because obviously if volunteers are taking them in their car, we have to do some vetting there, background checks, personalities, the whole shebang.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Great presentation. I have just one question on the school-age childcare.
Yes.
The acronym STEAM.
Yes.
I know STEM, but I don't know STEAM. Could you
So-
tell us what that stands for?
Absolutely. The A adds arts into the mix. And so that was a movement, I want to say, about a year or two ago. This is not my area of expertise, but more recently, enough research has come out about the value of arts in connection with engineering and mathematics and all of those kind of really quality educational components, and recognizing that for some students, adding in that art piece is really valuable for them.
Great, thank you very much. And it's showing, too.
I was going to say, you're seeing budding Picassos right in front of you.
Very good presentation, Amanda. We really appreciate it. You know, we provide probably a small portion of your overall funding. And my question is, in light of the recent announcement from the White House about halting federal grant money for nonprofits, how much of an impact is that going to have on the Y, generally, nationally, but because they're talking about pass-throughs as well. So thank goodness the courts have halted that temporarily, but is that a huge concern? Could you opine on that for a minute?
Sure. So we're talking today about the Scottsdale branch alone, but as probably most of you know, the Valley of the Sun Y incorporates 12 locations throughout the valley. And so I can tell you that we've seen a $7 million dip in grant funding over the past year, and that is quite significant as a percentage of our budget. The programs that we're talking about today, and many of the programs at our Scottsdale location, do not rely very heavily on grant funding from a federal level. We work primarily with local community partners, and in our scholarship budget, which we refer to as our annual campaign yearly. Last year, for example, we raised $175,000. That is from individual donors and local businesses who are giving. And so at least for this, I can't speak with expertise on the other locations, but for Scottsdale, in terms of our not earned revenue, our biggest bucket is really individual donations opposed to grants. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh, yes, Cindy.
But no, that's okay. I did have a question for you, and I was a little shocked when you said it, so I want to just
Okay.
clarify. You said that, shocked in a good way. You said that of the children, you take them before school on the buses, or
Yes.
on the, are they the purple buses? Okay, to the schools, and then pick them up and bring them back again.
Yes.
That, to me, that's amazing. And then you watch them afterward and do your activities with them. Can you explain to me the type of family that needs that type of?
Absolutely, yeah. So one of the things I love about serving in Scottsdale specifically is that we are more diverse economically and in age than most people appreciate. And so when it comes to our before and after school program, I liken it to the DMV, that it's a little bit of a melting pot of all types of humans. And so we open at 6:30 a.m., parents drop off. Not all parents use both ends, but there's a good chunk that use the before and the after. So parents will drop off at anywhere between 6:30 and 7:15, and then we bring them to schools. And then again, picking them up, and we are able to supervise them until 6:30 p.m. So it's a 12-hour program with a big gap for actual school in the middle. And we have a mixture of medical physicians' children who are working odd hours and they need to be at the hospital at a certain time, to parents that are severely low income and they work pretty far away, and so they're navigating a transition, a commute time back and forth. We certainly have a lot of single parents. A few of them have multiple jobs, so they've got kind of like a morning shift and then a night shift somewhere else. It really is a mixture of opportunities, I would say. A few of them, like I said, are high-powered executives, and they're working 12-hour days, and so they need to find a way for their kid to get to school and get back. And then you have the flip side of parents that don't have many options, and they're trying to make ends meet, and they need the care on both sides.
So I'll make an assumption,
Yeah.
high-power executives have more money. So they pay a full amount then for basically this opportunity for their children while they're doing that?
Yeah, so I would say so I'm a mom of 4, and I've only been with the Y for a year and a half, so I've certainly had to secure my own childcare before working with the Y. And I will say, after shopping the options for myself before I was with the Y, our like full price pay for parents for both the early learning program and the before and after school program tends to be cheaper than a lot of the other options around. But I think it's a testament to the quality of the programs that those who could afford other options still choose to be with the Y. And so that's what, like I said, that's one of the reasons why I love the program, because we're mixing kids from all different backgrounds and all different family situations together, and that's life, and they get to experience it. But yes, so those parents are paying in full, and that's a good chunk of our population as well. They don't apply for financial aid because that's not what they're concerned with. In fact, some of them are our donors that are scholarshiping other children.
So that helps pay for the children that can't afford it. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I had 2 final questions. You mentioned, I think, 9 schools that you're working with. Are any of those or some of those Title I schools?
I do not know the answer to that question. I can tell you half of those schools are in SUSD and half of them are in PV, because we're kind of right in the middle. And of those 9, 2 are technically middle schools, because we're picking up children that are aged 12, but they're at the middle school. But I don't know about their classification as a Title I school. Yeah, I can find that out.
Yeah, and then for the OPAs, am I pronouncing that correctly?
You have to throw your hands up while you do
For the OPAS program, are you collaborating with the senior centers, Granite Reef and Via Linda?
Yes, yeah, we sure are. And you're probably familiar with Duet, which is a similar type of program. We have a couple senior centers right around our facility. So we're certainly working with them both in terms of serving their populations, or if they happen to have a population that's driving, then we're obviously recruiting them for volunteerism as well.
Seeing no other questions, Amanda, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much for your time.
All right. Next, we have Beatrice Orr from Southwest Autism Research and Resource Center.
How are y'all? Thank
Good.
you so much for having us, representing the organization, so having us here. And I'm going to specifically talk about our Paiute campus. Next slide, please. Let's enter. Oh, sorry. Now we're going. There you go. I got it now. So SARC is actually the oldest autism organization in Arizona. We were established in 1997, and we are internationally recognized because of our mission, but because of how unique our combination of research and programs is. Our mission is to advance research and provide a lifetime of support for individuals with autism and their families. We started as a research-only organization and then realized really quickly that as research was advancing, we needed to support people right now, in the moment, and that started a couple years after we were established. And we like to call ourselves a little bit like a university nonprofit, because we're able to do research, but then we also really build a lot of staff to really help the field and support more people. So we really are training our staff to expand our services. Oh, I need my glasses here. So these are some of our 2024 impact numbers for SARC as a whole, as an organization, not just our Paiute campus. But 629 families, parents, family members, typical peers, teachers, medical professionals, and community members received education and training. So that's our outreach program. Then we have 243 individuals were served through SARC's diagnostic services program. the first step on the right path towards effective intervention. That's something that, as a state, we still continue to work on because of the amount of wait lists that we have. Different parts of the valley experience wait lists a little bit differently. So SARC actually had an innovative research project that ended up in diagnostics, that we can provide diagnosis virtually. So we can actually diagnose people in remote areas on top of just the valley here. We had 109 young children and their family members who participated in Jumpstart, which is what the name calls it, Jumpstart into the journey of autism. And for these programs, we actually don't require a diagnosis for autism. So as people are going through the diagnostic process, we can get them started to navigate the world of autism. So not just giving them hands-on tools, but actually, how do you contact your school district? What do you ask for, right? What about insurance funding? What about state funding? So that's what that program is for, is to really get them started when they are not quite sure where to go. We have 228 children, both with and without autism, attended SARC's community school program across 3 campus locations. That's the one I'm gonna focus on the most in a little bit. And since these data from 2024 and 2025 January, we actually opened our 4th location in Northeast Mesa. We have 125 people participated in research, and then 129,000 hours of clinical intervention were provided to children, teens, and adults with autism. That is actually one of the things that makes SARC very unique, is that we provide services across the lifespan. If you look at autism organizations, majority of them are going to focus on children, especially young children. And the bulk of the funding in any capacity tends to focus on that age group. Teens and definitely adults, it just continues to get smaller and smaller. And that's something that SARC is really passionate about, is to make sure that we can support families whenever they need us. And then we have 989 individuals across the lifespan were supported. Sorry. Was that the next one? Yes. Okay, so now let's talk specifically about our Paiute campus. Our Paiute campus opened in 2021, in September 2021, certainly with a little bit of a delay because of, you probably all can imagine, COVID. But the Paiute campus, whenever we open a new campus, we start slow and we slowly continue to add to it. So we started just with our community school, and then in the last year or two, we've slowly added services that operate out of the Scottsdale location. And just this year, just a few months ago, we actually added teams for our comprehensive behavioral program. So next year, we should see an increase in that number. But in the Jumpstart program, we served 5 families from Scottsdale. Our comprehensive behavioral program is one-to-one home and community-based treatment. In 2024, we served 10 Scottsdale families. Like I said, now we actually have 3 teams that specifically operate out of the Paiute campus. That was not the case in 2024. And then our community school, which I'm gonna talk about a little bit more, is our inclusive preschool, which means that it serves kids with and without autism in an inclusive model, which leads to inclusive communities in general, right? So we're teaching children from the very beginning that we are all different and we should accept, celebrate, and just help each other out, right? Because a lot of the time we have the kids with autism helping the kids that don't have autism, right? They don't know anything in that regard. It's just, we just help each other out. But then also on top of that, we have parents that obviously believe in inclusion. If not, they wouldn't come to our program. There's a childcare center anywhere, right? Every corner you can find childcare. Very expensive, I agree. But they choose an inclusive model for a reason. And those are adults today that are coworkers of adults with autism, potential employers, potential employees of adults with autism today. So the idea of SARC is really that we can build that inclusive community. And we served 48 families in the 24-25 school year. Let's see. So SARC's inclusive preschool is one of the very few available in Scottsdale. And we are a licensed preschool through the Department of Health. So we really are wearing 2 hats in that program, which is the one that you guys fund specifically. And we are preschool teachers. So we are licensed through Department of Health and follow all those regulations at the same time that we're providing treatment within the context of preschool. So while they are in circle time, we're actually doing treatment and therapy in that activity. Same thing, we go outside, we go have snack, all of that. So if you're just looking from the outside, it just looks like a preschool. But there's a lot of good therapy that's happening in there to make sure that the kids continue to learn and grow. Every campus is the same. Our Scottsdale location has 4 age-assigned classrooms. So we start as young as 15 months. They just have to be walking. That's the need. All the way into pre-K, going into kindergarten. And we can serve in each of those classrooms 6 kids with a diagnosis of autism, up to 10 kids without a diagnosis. And we operate in a 4-to-1 student-to-teacher ratio. These are just a couple of pictures of our Paiute campus. And Building 10, not sure if you've been in Paiute, Building 10 is where our 4 classrooms are. And in the 2024-2025 school year, we serve 48 children, 32 with autism, 16 without. 12 of those children live in Scottsdale, and the funding supported 28 full-time staff. And a huge accomplishment for us this year is that we became a 5-star quality first rated preschool. Again, we talk a lot about our treatment model and about our treatment program, and that's our focus. But really, the preschool side is we got a 5-star through Quality First, so we were very excited. And now let me share Eli's story. Eli is one of our little ones. He just graduated. And for any preschool, graduation is a big deal. And for us, when a child that has worked so hard on different goals graduates, it is a big deal, right? And so this is little Eli, and he joined us the very first year we opened. So when we were trying to figure it out, right? And he was there from the very beginning in the 2021-2022 school year. He worked on goals related to communication with adults and his peers. Again, that's the benefit of the inclusive model. Building friendships, using coping strategies when frustrated, and generally developing just learning. And I'm happy to share that after he just started kindergarten through Scottsdale Unified School District without any additional supports. He did not qualify for an IEP or any of that, and he is just in a regular education kindergarten classroom in Scottsdale. And obviously, we're very proud. That's exactly what we like to see. Oh, no, one more. And for the 2025, we were awarded the $20,000 for continued program operations and to continue to expand our community school Paiute campus, specifically the community school, but again, we have a much bigger reach at the Paiute location. Funding supports 33 full-time positions. And then the goal is to serve 48 children with and without autism during the 25-26 school year. Something that has been a little bit challenging is the kids that don't have autism in Scottsdale for some reason. It's a little bit harder than our other locations. And so we're offering 25% discount to City of Scottsdale employees and their tuition. And we're collaborating, of course, with partner agencies at Paiute as well. Thank you.
Beatrice, thank you for being here. And on a personal note, I raised a son who graduated high school in the year 2000 who is on the autism spectrum. And I wish this type of program had existed when he was, just at that age group.
Yeah.
So thank you for what you do.
Absolutely.
Looking around, yes?
Hard to believe. Beatrice, thank you so much. That's great. I just wanted to comment, too. Sark used to have the best private label coffee that they use for fundraiser. Boy, I tell you what.
Yes. I know.
Quick aside. So did I understand you say there are fewer teens and adults than before? Is that right?
No, the funding for teens and adults goes down.
Oh, the funding.
In general, right, for any funds. Even the bulk of our funding actually comes from medical insurance because we are technically a medical provider for our treatment. And it is hard to get an authorization from medical insurance to provide treatment to adults with autism.
Wow.
So then you have to rely on other sources, certainly. And most organizations or companies choose not to even go there. So for us, that's not an option.
I heard recently that children with autism are more prone to pool accidents. I don't know if that's true or not. And obviously, you don't have a pool on premises to help with that, but do you train in that way, in that regard at all?
Yeah, so in general, so part of all SARC programs, but certainly the community school, caregiver training is actually a big part of what we do. So for the community school, even though we're a preschool, we provide 5 hours a month of caregiver training. And that actually happens either on campus or happens in the home or the community. And that's when we actually add goals like that. Not necessarily to teach them to swim, but it's actually teach the parents as well as danger awareness, right? That's several things. Is how do we set up the house to make sure that it is safe? How can we make sure that he stays engaged with appropriate things to make sure that they don't wander off and things like that? So we have all sorts of goals in caregiver training. That would be definitely a goal that we work on.
That's great. Thank you. One last question. How is the facility at Paiute Community Center for you from a structural standpoint?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Okay, great.
It is absolutely beautiful. I would say it gives the right feel of preschool, an organization as well. So we have our main campus, which is where we started. And I don't love it as much. It's very clinic-y in that regard, right? It feels very office. Paiute is just beautiful. So that's the first comment everybody says. It's like, oh my gosh, this is so gorgeous. And that center courtyard is absolutely beautiful. The classrooms work out beautiful. We did a lot of renovations to make sure that it matches our model. So our classrooms, if you come to see them, they have a very random wall in the middle of the classroom. So every classroom has like 2 separate spaces, and that's on purpose. That's part of the treatment model that we have. And we were able to do that perfectly at Paiute. I would say the noise level, it's a little bit challenging in those classrooms, right? It used to be the gym. When doing the renovations, we didn't necessarily bring the ceilings down as much as we could have, should have.
So is the half wall to segregate students or not?
It is not.
Okay.
It is not. That's actually part of engagement and communication opportunities.
Very good. Thank you so very much.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Life works very strange, and I have, in what I've been doing, have recently been surrounded by a lot of people who have come to me personally looking for help with children with autism. And part of it is through the nonprofit that I run, but part of it is because I work with police officers. And so there is a big push right now to get children with autism who are on the spectrum exposed to police officers and public safety, fire.
Yep.
Could you just tell me maybe what you do or what that looks like on your campus?
Yeah, so SARC as a whole, we actually worked with VirTra to develop a program for police officers to be able to identify someone that potentially has autism. And it is literally kind of like a 3D experience, virtual reality, that's the actual word, virtual reality. So we help them develop this technique, and at this point it's been used in several states, but it was SARC and local police departments. And they go in and they basically practice situations in which they could potentially be facing someone with autism. And that is to help them kind of navigate, right? Like what questions to ask, how do you approach someone that potentially has autism to make sure that they respond how we would like them to respond in a safe way versus potentially attacking back because they don't know, et cetera. So that's the first thing as an organization, what we've done to support first responders. So that is huge for us. On the other side, again, a majority of those goals will be part of caregiver training. And the second part is having visitors. We are also a preschool, but we always have some intentionality behind it, is having police officers come and read books, potentially, have the police car available for them to be able to kind of see, high five, just positive interactions, right? Because you need a lot of positive interactions to be able to build a little bit of trust, at least.
Are those things you're doing or things you want to do?
We've done in the past.
Okay.
To be honest, we haven't done them as often as we would like since COVID. That was something that we did twice a year before COVID.
Okay.
We haven't gotten back into the rhythm again.
I don't know why, but there are a lot of police officers that do have children with
Yeah.
with autism. So that's why I'm kind of,
Yeah.
in that. And so that's what they tell me too. And they're trying to work with other police officers to actually, help these children and help the officers to
Right.
understand it. So I'm
Right.
so glad it's
both
a
sides,
two-way
yeah.
street.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy to hear that. So I appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
And then I was just curious, because it's a mixed, inclusive group, how do people who aren't really associated with autism, how do they know about it? Like, how would they know to come to
Yeah.
your school or apply or?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say word of mouth is our most powerful marketing strategy, is making sure that they come and visit. If they tour, about 90% will end up enrolling. We just need to get them in the door. Just come check it out. A lot of them are actually siblings of the kids with autism, cousins, and at this point, majority of people are impacted by autism in one degree or another, a neighbor or whatever it is. So I would say word of mouth is our most powerful tool. We do things like we do for the city of Scottsdale, so it's making sure that we have offers, right? So 25%. SARC staff, we get 50% off of tuition. So we have a lot of SARC staff children that end up enrolling. Mine graduated from our Tempe campus, mine too. So that was great. But I would say majority of them are word of mouth from somebody that does have a connection. So we got a cousin that enrolled, and then they have their own groups. We're also joining a lot of parent groups, Facebook parent groups and things like that, and just kind of promote our programs that way.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate what you're doing, and
Yeah.
I really actually want to learn more, so.
Absolutely. And I was going to add, and there's a couple of things that we also do. So we try to keep it very affordable the same way, right, to make sure that we are, it's enticing as well to even come check us out. We also promote the training of our staff. It's a little bit different. Everybody has a registered behavior technician certification. So we also promote, we sell that, right? Like we share that information. And we are actually very flexible. A lot of preschools are very rigid, and you have to commit to 5 days a week or 3 days a week, but always Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and it always has to be the same. We're actually very flexible in that regard. You can literally mix and match. You can do 2 mornings a week, and that's all you do. Or you can do 5 days a week all day long. So that gives a lot of flexibility, which is also very, it's good for parents, especially working parents. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good questions. Looking this way. Jess?
Beatrice, wonderful work you guys are doing.
Thank you.
I know that we are supporting, our grant is supporting 33 positions.
Yep.
And I'm just curious of the research that is done. Could you tell me about the credentials of the researchers and how that all gets compiled? And is everybody in the school a researcher and, pulling data in order to do everything that you do in the research realm?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we actually have a research department, and they do their own research. A lot of time is pharmaceutical. We've done the diagnosing research to decrease the age of diagnosis or the virtual portion. That way we can serve more people. So we have our own research department.
And are those
The 33 is not that.
Researcher, I'm sorry, are those PhD?
Yeah, so no, the 33 positions are actually specifically for the inclusive preschool. And those are all registered behavior technicians. So what that means is we have a board for behavior analysis. So the therapy that we do is applied behavior analysis, and we have a board. And for staff that work directly with the children, they are called registered behavior technicians. I would say half of them, probably about 75% have a bachelor's degree, about 25% don't. And a good percentage of them, when they're in higher positions, are actually going for their master's. Then every classroom is supervised by a behavior analyst, by a licensed behavior analyst. To keep our ratios that way, we provide the group treatment in the mornings. In the preschool setting, we actually staff our classrooms 4 or 5. So we have the 4 classrooms, our toddler and preschool 1, which are our young kids. We actually staff those classrooms at 5 therapists. and then the older classrooms at 4. We also offer full-day childcare for both the kids with and without autism. So we have a team of 6 that runs our aftercare program, plus the supervisors. So all of that adds up to the 33. Yeah, we're a staff-heavy
All right.
program. Yeah.
Next question is same thing I asked Amanda with
Yeah.
the recent announcement about nonprofits and funding streams. Could you talk about how much federal money you get directly or pass through and those types of things?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thankfully, we haven't been impacted by that. A majority of our funds, our revenue, actually comes from services. And like I mentioned a little bit earlier, so we are a medical provider. Similar as a doctor, we work with medical insurance, we write our treatment plans, we get an authorization, bill the claims, literally it's the exact same way. So the bulk of our revenue is actually from services that we provide. That completely flipped in the last 15 years for SARC. We really depended on donations and grants. Now it's completely flipped. So we're pretty sustainable just with the services that we provide. Any grants tend to be very local grants, and then corporate donations and individual donations.
So your insurance includes private and access? Okay,
Yep,
very good.
yeah,
Thank you.
no problem.
Anything else? Okay. Beatrice, thank you. Thank you again for what you do. Thanks
you.
for the engaging questions from the commissioners. Have a great evening. Next up, we have Phil Scharf. Phil is the CEO of Tempe Community Action Agency.
Sorry, I was saying you can't leave now. I mean,
I've had the pleasure, like Amanda, running into Phil. Actually, have known Phil for at least 20 years.
Yeah,
We
amazing.
collaborated on some projects at Arizona State University together. So, Phil.
Well, it's always a pleasure to see you, sir. And thank you to all the commissioners for having us here. It's a privilege to be here. My name is Philip Scharf, as Mr. Laurie referred. I am the Chief Executive Officer for Tempe Community Action Agency, which is a poorly named organization because we don't just serve Tempe. So that's the curiosity of why I'm here. As Roger referred, I did spend 20 years in higher education, and then I pivoted and I ran Central Arizona Shelter Services for a couple of years before coming over to TCAA. So my background is a little bit diverse, but it aligns well with the work we're doing here. I'm going to cover kind of 20,000-foot numbers for you, and then we'll dig a little bit into a couple of programs, and along the way we'll certainly call out the ways in which we're serving the residents of Scottsdale and working with all of the wonderful people on my left. So just kind of give you a snapshot of our last year numbers. This is throughout all of our programs. We're kind of rooted in 3 main areas: health, housing, and upward mobility. And so we run a homeless shelter. We run the largest food pantry in the Tempe, South Scottsdale area. We run a Health Start program. We run a Neighbors Helping Neighbors program. We run a home delivered meal program. We run a keeps going. So these are just some of the highlights of some of those programs. In the iHealth program, which is our shelter, we had 401 unique individuals last year come through shelter. I'll get to some more details in a minute, but of that, 5 of those were Scottsdale residents. We gave out almost $1 million in rent and utility assistance to over 2,100 unique individuals. We served over 720 individuals through our Health Start initiative, as well as almost 90 people through Neighbors Helping Neighbors. We gave out 60,000 people were fed through the organization, which constitutes over 9,000 meals through congregate lunch, as well as over 43,000 meals and home delivered. The rest of the people fed are through that food pantry program. In that food pantry program, it accounts for over 680,000 meals a year that's delivered through those food boxes to those families. To give you a sense then of congregate, just to dive down into that program a bit, we do serve Scottsdale in a very profound way, and we have a great partnership at Granite Reef and with Jessica Rapp on your staff here, really looking at serving our seniors in a communal way. And so that provides them a warm meal on a daily basis should they choose to attend. And then we also do education around nutrition. We do some trainings, and we also try to have a lot of fun with our seniors there. And that is in direct collaboration with Jessica and team at Granite Reef, so also thinking about how do we incorporate all of the other programs that go into the work there. And this fall, we'll also be running a commercial kitchen in that space and providing what we hope is an enhanced meal for all of our Scottsdale residents. So looking really forward to that opportunity, and a huge thanks to the City of Scottsdale for that opportunity. As I mentioned, our food pantry is the largest in the Tempe, South Scottsdale area. Close to 60,000 people served last year, 823,000 pounds of food. For the most part, that food comes into us through the United Food Bank, but we do have to purchase some on the peripheral when we're either running short or as changes, which I know is a question from Commissioner Jamison coming my way. As changes have occurred in the federal landscape, we've seen a major cut in food subsidies for farmers in Arizona to actually supply food for the food banks, and so we've had to purchase more as that fresh produce has gone away. So that's one explicit impact that we've had. And then again, we're serving about 14,000 unique individuals there. People can come to our food pantry up to twice a month, and it services anyone with the state of Arizona ID. So a lot of people from the South Scottsdale area are accessing it, and as SNAP benefits have changed, also to your question, Commissioner Jamison, as SNAP benefits have changed, we've seen an increase of Scottsdale residents coming to the food pantry as they may have other services that are being restricted, or they may no longer have eligibility for some of those other services. Our community assistance program we call CAP is where we give out all of our rent and utility assistance. A large percentage of these dollars are restricted dollars, and we can only service the people of Tempe and Fountain Hills. That's our contract. However, we do have some flex spending in this bucket of services, and we do serve Scottsdale residents, mainly people with APS that need utility assistance. So obviously right now we are under an APS and SRP moratorium on shutting off power. But unfortunately, people don't realize that when the power gets turned back on, you oftentimes have a bill of $1,500 to $2,000 because it's the summer months during that moratorium. And so what we're going to be seeing now coming into September and those moratoriums kind of ending is an increase of our residents needing to step forward, especially in that utility assistance space to kind of get caught up. We mainly serve Scottsdale residents in that utility space. We don't have the availability to serve them in the rent and move-in space because that's where that contract restricts our access. Our Health Start program is basically neonatal education all the way through 2. And then we hand them off to these wonderful ladies that already presented for their incredible programs of enrichment. So we're really working on making sure that we have healthy birth weight. We have a 94% healthy birth weight of everyone that came through our program last year, and we're at about a 98% immunization rate. So we were really focused on healthy birth and then making sure people have access to the appropriate immunizations. We are also working a lot with our community health members in this program, doing home-based visits. So every single one of our families and participants gets a home-based visit every single week from our community health workers, and so we're able to do a lot of interventional services as well as make a lot of referrals to other programs through those home-based visits. Our iHelp program, which I know is of great interest to the city, is our shelter program. It has been running for 20 years, and it's one of only 2 iHelps left in the state of Arizona. iHelp is a national model. Basically, it's an interfaith model for support of those experiencing homelessness. And it has a lot of positives, and it also has a lot of drawbacks. The biggest drawback for us is that because we are in a rotational pattern, and I'll explain to that in a second, we really have limitations to who we can shelter. And so every single night, we rotate through a different faith-based organization that supports our shelter. So every afternoon, we send trailers out to the new location. They're going to set up all of our cots. They're going to set up our laundry. They're going to set up our showers. We're going to stay at that facility for 10 to 12 hours. We're going to bring in up to 40 individuals experiencing homelessness to stay in an emergency shelter. And then the next morning, they exit that facility, and then we rotate to a new facility, and then our community joins us at the new facility. It is logistically a challenge, as you can imagine, but it also means that anyone that has a second or a third shift job is unable to stay at iHelp because we can only shelter overnight. Right now, we're close to 80% of our participants in shelter having employment. And so one of those misnomers about people being unemployed and unhoused, right, is we have a lot of people that are employed and unhoused and still staying with us. And in fact, I would rather them have overnight jobs because the pay differential is really important for us to get as much pay as possible. So on my next slide, I'll get to where I'm going with that. But we're still running in this operation. As I mentioned, we had 401 total unique individuals. On average, they're staying about 40 days. We are definitionally an emergency shelter, and so we can shelter for up to 90 days without any intervention sought. And so that's the legal guidelines. That's not how we run the program, but that's the kind of the guidance from the federal government. We generally will allow people to stay with us past the 90 days so long as they are successfully making strides towards their hopeful outcome of independent living. So we do not remove people from the program so long as they're doing the appropriate things to get to their goals. As I mentioned, we have close to 80% that are employed, and so all of those individuals, again, would be able to stay with us until they get into that permanent housing. As I mentioned, we have 5 individuals staying with us from Scottsdale. Those generally come in from referral, and we work closely with a myriad of different agencies to get those referrals, but a lot is done by outreach teams, either through city contacts or through organizations like Community Bridges or others that will refer them to us. We are part of the continuum of care, and we are an entry site into homelessness. So some individuals also come to us for an entry point but don't end up staying with us. So we also help to facilitate people getting into shelter throughout the entire continuum. We only shelter single adults, so we have no ability to shelter families. I know families are obviously top of mind to everyone, and so I hope that you are also all supporting my good friend Ted Taylor at Family Promise, who offers a great service to the city of Scottsdale and all of those families, in a very similar model to the iHelp model. In addition, obviously, to that shelter, you'll also see that we provided about 14,000 meals to individuals that are experiencing homelessness and staying with us in those shelters. We are making a major pivot, however, as an organization and as a shelter. And so we are ground broken. It's really just a dirt lot still, but they told me that the ground has been broken. And we are in the process of building what will become our brand new Human Services Center. And I'm really excited to announce that we received a $2 million contribution from Jerry Brock, who's a longtime resident of the city of Tempe. And so this will be the Jerry Brock Human Services Center when it opens. So that's actually, we just found that out this morning. So you're the first persons to know. And I haven't signed the contract, so I probably shouldn't have said anything. Don't say anything. But we will be moving to this building by the end of 2026. And what this means is that we will now be able to operate a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week emergency shelter with expanded services, wraparound services, the ability to really house people no matter when they may be able to find that job, if they're working overnight, still staying with us. We are going to be going from 40 beds to 68 beds in the emergency shelter with an additional 12 beds in the transitional shelter space. And so that allows for a whole different set of rules for individuals to really make that transition from shelter to permanent housing in a structured and a supported environment. To your question, Commissioner Jamieson, to get ahead of it, with the reduction in federal fundings, I will close my doors. We will not be able to persist or exist with the reductions in federal fundings. And recently, the notice of funding and the decisions of Maricopa County and their priorities, we are not prioritizing emergency shelter in this county for funding. So the priorities are going to substance, they're going to housing, affordable housing, but we have shifted almost every dollar away from emergency shelter. And in fact, we are the only shelter in town that has any plans of expansion. And we are now up to 1,116 beds in Maricopa County closing since last year. So the need for the emergency shelter space is profound because we obviously have a multi-year runway to get caught up in the housing space for us to backfill the need. And so that is profound for us. So this will allow us to house up to 68 people in an emergency shelter. We will also be running a commercial kitchen from this building as well, which is why we're so excited about the project with the City of Scottsdale and Granite Reef, so that we can make sure that we are doing things in an appropriate manner and meeting all of the needs for our congregate and home-delivered meals, as well as everybody in shelter. So a lot of changes coming there, and we'll also be rotating our pantry to this location as well. And we're going to be moving away from a pre-boxed pantry meal to a blended experience. So individuals will get some of their items in a pre-boxed way, and then they'll have some self-selection so that, if you have a priority over a certain type of deli meat, for an example, you can choose something for your family that's going to be more befitting of what their kind of needs and desires are. That is what I prepared for you because I was really wanted to make sure that we're staying on time. I have a ton more I can talk about, but I'll open it up to questions about those programs.
Phil, thank you for being here. Thank you for what TCAA does as an organization. It's essential. And you closed with a humbling moment. Yeah.
I don't mean it to be a Debbie Downer, Roger, but it
No,
happens.
but thank you for your honesty. When that 24/7 shelter opens, will that take the place of the iHelp?
This is a great question. So we're in active conversation right now, actually, with all of our faith-based partners about how do we continue some semblance of either their engagement in the process or to stand up kind of a small-scaled operation for them to allow to continue to support people. And really, it's becoming a much more critical conversation as some of these shifts in contracts exist. So right now what we're seeing is a shift in our federal contracts and all pass-through contracts that are requiring identification in order for us to provide any service. Well, the issue with homelessness is that you may not have identification because you're homeless. So we're no longer going to be able to support people that are unsheltered and unID'd. And so we're going to rely on those church partners because they're not receiving those federal funds to actually try to support some of our documented and undocumented individuals that just don't have physical identification, right? There's a whole other level of undocumented when you don't have the physical possession of an ID because you're homeless. So we're really re-engaging with them right now. The original plan was to shutter the iHelp program and move everything to the 24/7. That's probably no longer going to be a doable. And so my plans right now are actually to split up the 40 beds that we have that we would normally rotate and actually see if we can't get some of those faith-based partners to actually quote unquote own some of those cots so that we can get out of the operational business of rotating every day, but we can continue to support those individuals that are in need. So we're looking for a happy middle ground that allows a little bit of a strain release from our staffing model.
I could keep going with questions, but I'm gonna give my other commissioners a chance to surprise. Mr.
Right.
Cooley.
Who would have thunk? Philip, good seeing you again. Thank you.
A pleasure,
for coming.
sir.
Are any of your faith-based iHelp partners located in Scottsdale?
None of them are, sir. So we don't shelter anyone in the city of Scottsdale. We just shelter Scottsdale residents in Tempe, which may be a little bit of a sore topic when I present to Tempe. But we don't have any shelter at all in the city of Scottsdale space. It's all city of Tempe interfaith partners.
And it may seem like a small number, 5 out of 401, that are Scottsdale residents, but to me, I look at it as if you're serving people outside of or adjacent to our territory, why wouldn't they potentially have become Scottsdale residents at some point if you weren't helping them? So.
Yes, sir. Well, and what we all know about homelessness is it's a fairly transient population. And so the location they're coming from or the location they are stated as being from may be the location they've spent the last week or two. And so, you know, the difficulty always in reporting out data is, and I appreciate your commentary so much, is half the people that said they're from Tempe in a month might have said they were from Mesa or might have said they were from Scottsdale or wherever that last residence was. And so, you know, from a personal standpoint, the frustration we always have is we're not supporting a city's homeless, we're supporting the homeless. And we want to support anyone that's coming in and raises their hand that's ready to take that next step to resolving their issues. You know, it usually takes between 7 and 12 outreach attempts before somebody's willing to come into shelter. So I want to get them in if they're saying yes, regardless of where they say they're from.
Very
but
good.
You're 100% correct, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. That was a great presentation and sobering one. I'm very excited for the prospect of your beautiful new facility, but I'm wondering if you have an estimate of the annual funding needs for operations once the doors are open.
Sadly, I do. Gosh, you guys put me last for a reason. So we are, right now, all of our programs all in, we're at about a $5.5 million operation all in for all of our programs. We're looking at an increase in a new building of about $2.5 million annualized, and that is the combination of the cost of the 24,000 square foot building, the cost of the operations of moving the shelter internal, which means that we also now have to start paying for food and staff. So right now the iHelp model allows us to not have the staffing model we would need, and all of that food is donated. And so about $2 million of that $2.5 million increase all comes from running that shelter in a 24/7 model. Because one of the other commitments we've made to everyone is we are not going to be dumping the building. So, on a Saturday, if people don't want to leave the building, you can stay in the building, and our seniors that are staying with us can stay in the building. And so that, we have to run the building all the time. So we're looking at between $500,000 and $600,000 annualized just for the building, and then about $1.8 to $2 million from program.
Great, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking the question.
Oh,
Philip, great presentation. I appreciate what you said about if the federal funds dry up for you, you can't do what you're doing.
Correct, sir.
And that's foreboding. And I've experienced that myself. My first job out of college was with a CAP.
There you go.
That was about 100 years ago. But we had year after year of funding interruptions. And I was laid off 3 times in a 4-year period. And it was hugely disruptive, and I just hope that we can get past this and that you guys can continue to do what you do.
I appreciate that, sir. And obviously, we're looking to diversify our revenue in real time and really try to get ahead of some of what was expected but unexpected in terms of changes and cuts. We appreciate the support.
I just have one final question, and I have volunteered over at Community House, which is a day relief center in Scottsdale. And I've experienced a number of those individuals who say, I would rather die on the street than go into a shelter.
Yep.
To what frequency do you see that? And do you have a remedy? Do you have a way of dealing with those individuals?
So I really appreciate the question, Commissioner. The reality is we're probably seeing up to about 20% of people that are unsheltered that have no interest at all in seeking shelter in the way in which we want to shelter them, right? So that's the big caveat. And so here's the question I'll ask every commissioner. When is the last time somebody told you it's lights out? When is the last time somebody told you you couldn't use the bathroom right now? When is the last time somebody told you you can't go outside and have a cigarette or do any of the things that all of us get to do every day? And so the choice of leaving an unsheltered scenario to go into a shelter is a choice to give up your autonomy and to follow the rules that are being dictated by an organization you may not know and live amongst people you have never necessarily seen while giving up your family and community that was on the streets. And so what we need to do is really build the trust in the individuals, but also create ways that we can allow them to have the autonomy necessary for them to be willing to take the services. And so that's where, really thinking about how do you create dynamic settings and how do you create dynamic shelters that don't have a one-size-fits-all cookie-cutter model, because we are seeing is that individuals should be met where they're at. We work closely with an individual that has PTSD who is dear friends with us and accepts services from us, but will never seek shelter with us because the thought of being in that environment is way too similar to what he experienced when he was in the military in barracks, and it's a triggering event. And so he would rather die on the street knowing that he could have had air conditioning because that's an easier affect than having to deal with the PTSD. Now, of course, we're making the referrals to behavioral health, we're trying to get him connected that way, but it's all of those things, but it always comes down to autonomy. Do you want to give up autonomy versus what you have on the streets? And then other restrictions. As an example, if you're married, you can't stay with your wife at my shelter. So you're sleeping on the men's side, your wife's sleeping on the women's side. During the day, you can see her, but on the streets, you can cuddle. I like to cuddle. I don't want to take that away from people.
Okay, thank you. That really was a very good presentation. It really opened up a lot of eyes, I believe. A question I have is regarding the demographics, and you started to get into that. So I was wondering if you could tell me, I know you said they're all adults, but can you break it down for me a little bit in terms of more of the demographics?
Yep. So totality of our organization, we serve about 20% of our population is over the age of 55. About 20% of our population is the kids that are part of that Health Start program, and then 60% of that population is that 18 to 54 range. In the shelter, it's really about 85% is 18 to 54, and about 15% right now is what we would consider senior. So in homelessness definition, seniors start at age 55. The continuum in Maricopa County right now is about 30% of people experiencing homelessness are over the age of 55. It's also the fastest growing number, but we have not seen a huge increase at TCAA. So right now in shelter, we're about 15% over 55, everybody else under 18 to 54. And we are, over all services, we actually serve more females than males, but in shelter we serve way more males than females. And it's probably partially just because of who's coming to pick up things and get things is who gets counted as the gender, not necessarily that it's a gendered rationale for why that is. It's just the moms are sadly the ones that are taking the kids to Health Start, so they get counted a lot of times for those types of things.
Okay. How about military?
Yep. So military, in shelter right now, we have less than 10. All throughout the entire continuum this year, we have 542 people in all of Maricopa County that are of veteran status and experiencing homelessness.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Yep, 542 people in Maricopa County are both veteran and homeless. And so the good news, if there is, and I hate to say it's good news about something that's not good, the good news is that we have found that most veterans are able to gain access to the supports that they need because of the robust nature of the VA and other services. Mm-hmm. And in fact, the new director of Human Services at Maricopa County comes from that military background, and she and I have met many times on that exact topic on, how do we get to continue to address the needs of our veteran homeless. But thankfully, the number has dwindled. It's less than half of what it was in the 90s. So we're making good strides there.
I'm very happy to hear that.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing.
And no, we just need to do it for everybody else, right?
Including them. I'm not,
Right.
everybody, absolutely.
Exactly. And can you just tell me where the new building is located?
Yeah, so we're in a spot of land that nobody knows about. So we're going to be building on Apache, just east of the 101, okay, right abreast to the canal that separates Tempe from Mesa. Okay. So we are literally on the corner of Mesa and Tempe, right on the light rail. And so it's a really phenomenal location for us because almost all the human services that are being provided in the city of Tempe by us and other partners are all along the Apache corridor. So anyone experiencing any vulnerability can use the light rail to access almost all of those services. So it really works out well. Our other main service location is also on Apache. The Tempe Envision Center is also on Apache. So it works out really well from that perspective. But we're basically in Mesa. Nobody knows it's actually Tempe because it's east of the 101.
Your name is really going to be confusing then.
We're working on that as a whole separate thing. I've only been here since April, so I got some time before I can get the name changed.
May I ask one more thing? I'm very excited about your program working with Granite Reef Senior Center. I think that's a wonderful program. I'm looking forward to seeing how that all turns out, and I'm actually going to go down and get a meal. And so I thank you for doing that. And I think it's a wonderful thing. So I hope that program really turns out well.
I can't say enough about the partnership throughout all of our programs at the City of Scottsdale, but certainly that, and I think the work that Jessica has done, even in our short time working together, has been profound, and certainly with the assistance of Mary to make sure that we're really being focused on those outcomes and the success of the program, but also all citizens. So we're happy to be here, and anything we can do to make the city better, we're committed to doing that.
Thank you.
And that program, by the way, is funded or partially funded through the SRP MIC grant?
That is correct.
So, Phil, thank you. Seeing no other questions.
Thank you.
Great spirited conversation. Really appreciate you being here and appreciate the conversation with the commission. And on behalf of the commission, Amanda, Beatrice, and Phil, thank you for being here, giving up your evening time. I know you've got 4 kids at home. You probably need to go take care of them. But this is really invaluable to us. Pretty soon we'll be going back into the funding process and evaluating responses, and really having firsthand information from you is really invaluable for us making our decisions. So thank you again. And we have the infamous Mary Witkowski for the director's report.
The infamous. I'm not sure I can live up to that, Chair Lurie, tonight. All right, I will try to keep it quick since we are getting on time. We're getting late on time, but I do have a lot of exciting things to tell you about tonight. I have a plethora of notes, so I will dive right in with that. And the first center we will focus on is Youth and Family Services. So there are several things going on at Youth and Family Services. The first one is regarding working with Scottsdale Unified School District and doing a presentation talking about programming. The YFS team presented to the social services team to share about the services, and they've begun collaborating on efforts for Red Ribbon Week, which is in the last month of October and related to drug-free education. They're going to be providing those services in 5 high schools. Each of the team members will be providing some outreach activity on campus. Some activities are more robust depending on the needs and the requests of each of the individual schools. More information and collaboration with the Community of Scottsdale marketing team will take place. And then Kelly's Substance Youth Coalition will be participating in these efforts along with the various community agencies. They're also going to continue to plan to coordinate with the school resource officers, principals, and vice principals, as well as the social workers to ensure the referrals for the RJIT program, Restorative Justice Intervention Program, are handled best. And with these direct communications, they're able to handle the cases much better. Next up is, we're still on Youth and Family Services. Human Services newsletter. So Christy Hahn McDonald, who is working on our Human Services Strategic Plan on the marketing outreach goal, has partnered up with Jessica Rapp, and we're going to be consolidating our newsletters into one Human Services newsletter with our communications and marketing for distribution. Also calling out some of our partners, our community agencies, and doing some recognition and maybe even some polls and do survey feedback so we can get community support. So please be on the lookout for updates regarding our Human Services newsletter. We have the Opioid Settlement Fund Strategic Plan that is officially kicking off. We have secured a contract with LaCroix and Milligan, and we are kicking it off on next week, Tuesday. And we'll be setting up focus groups for internal staff and then external partners. You guys will be invited as part of the internal to participate in those focus groups. There'll only be 2 focus groups, and as we proceed down those, you will hear more updates about our strategic plan on using those opioid funds. The Regional Veterans Court, Youth and Family Services, has started to receive referrals directly from Tempe's Regional Veterans Court, and they're implementing new forms in their electronic record system along with new processes. They're working directly with the city's prosecutor and taking referrals and connections with Aver Health to ensure for substance use testing has been initiated. And last but not least, there's a picture of our Mayor's Youth Council. 5 of the students from the Mayor's Youth Council represented the League of Arizona Cities and Towns Conference on Wednesday, August 20th, here at the Scottsdale Princess in Scottsdale. Students participate in a statewide flag ceremony, engaged with public officials, and networked with student advisory boards all over the valley. The children or the youth that are on the board reported benefiting from the engagement with like-minded students and felt empowered to do more with their community. Next up, Vista del Camino. Vista del Camino has a lot of exciting new things going on. We have some fantastic pictures up here. Let's start out with our food bank it's on my right-hand side, so it is on your right-hand side. We have a new box truck. The food bank box truck was replaced with, the old one was replaced with a new one from the fleet department. It has a bigger lift gate, making it easier for staff to load and unload items. We are working with looking for funding and possibly retrofitting this for refrigeration so that we can rescue more food. And the next one with regards to the food bank is gold certification. The Scottsdale Food Bank is proud to share that they received the gold certification through Leah's Pantry's Nutrition Pantry Program. This recognition reflects their deep commitment to reducing food insecurity, upholding client dignity, and achieving operational excellence. The gold certificate was earned by strengthening all 6 pillars of the program to include nutrition guidelines, client experience, environment, education, community, partnerships, and evaluation. And that picture is in the bottom right-hand corner. So we're very proud of our food bank staff. And last but not least, and you'll hear about this again when I talk about Granite Reef, we have a new trolley stop. The new trolley stop has been initiated on Thursday mornings from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Not only is it serving those who are on the brown bag program, but it is for people who have appointments to pick up food boxes as well. Next up with Vista, we are continuing our recreational programs with our Family Fridays for July and early August. The program attracted a total of 77 participants. Some of the activities included Jurassic Jamboree, where families participated in fun activities such as helping dinosaur eggs hatch, making dinosaur masks, and digging up dinosaur fossils. Summer Rocks Night, they painted rocks into colorful insects, flowers, and other creative design. And then on the picture, on the PowerPoint, you can see activities from their summer luau where they received CPR training night. We partnered with South Phoenix Healthy Start through Maricopa County, which provided that educational CPR and heat-related illness with hands-on training for all the ages. And then social services update. I'm proud to announce that clients are being assigned a caseworker within 5 to 10 business days from the time they submit their application, so there is no longer a 6-week wait. So we'll give Sue a round of applause for that, and Liz Heavenrich. Okay. All right. Granite Reef Senior Center, we have some photos in the middle with regards to, that is the first day that the trolley went. You can see one of our council members rode the trolley with our seniors over to pick up the food bank, pick up their brown bags over at the food bank. The route is on the right. On the left-hand side, we're happy to announce, and I believe there was a press release that went out, the Back to School program was definitely a success this year. 445 families were served, which encompassed 927 children. Also, Phil mentioned a pilot project. So recently, Jessica and I worked with Phil, and they're going to be using the commercial kitchen and preparing the food fresh. So they won't have to deliver it pre-made. They'll be serving the food fresh from the kitchen, and hopefully we'll get some positive feedback. But that will be beginning on October 1st and run through December 31st. So we do welcome you to come to the Granite Reef Senior Center during the lunch hour, 11:30 to 1, 11:30 to 12. Pick up and have a meal with one of the seniors. All right. Next up. Paiute Neighborhood Center. Lots of things going on here. We have community workshops and discussion groups going on. The community workshops include things like Little Scientists from the Family Resource Center, Books Can, where the July was the start of the FRC's Book Can series. It's a 6-week program based on Arizona's infant toddler guidelines. They held Paiute Legal Night on July 8th. And then they participated in the Back to School event, which is in the bottom right-hand corner, where they provided swag and information to 103 adults and 148 children. The First Things First East Maricopa Regional Director even volunteered and joined them for the event. Some updates on news and events coming. The community recreation classes will start in September here at Paiute Neighborhood Center. And they will be providing programs that include creative movement for toddlers ages 1 through 3, Tai Chi for adults 18 and older, and Young Rembrandts, a cooking, baking, and drawing workshop designed for use age 8 to 13. They are continuing with their ESL classes. Those will kick off in September. And as you look on the right-hand side, you'll see a picture of the farm. And the Family Resource Center is currently redoing their layout and their theme, turning the Family Resource Center into a barnyard. And so they have Barnyard Crafty Story Time coming up real soon. Last but not least, the staff went on a tour on July 18th through NOAA. During the visit, they learned that CHOLA is NOAA's largest clinic equipped with a variety of services and resources for patients and surrounding community. All right. Now we get to talk about housing, I believe is next. Housing and Community Assistance Office, and we are knee-deep in federal regulations and federal compliance reports. Section 8 Management Assessment Reports. The CMAP has been completed, but I'm going to leave you in suspense till the end of September. I do know our score, but I am going to save it for the actual Housing and Governing Board meeting. I'm not going to give anything away. You're going to have to wait to hear the news at that point. Our financial data schedule is due tomorrow, when we are currently working with our contracted CPA. That will be completed. And then our consolidated annual performance and evaluation report is due on September 30th. That will be coming before the commission to talk about our year-end accomplishments. So you'll be able to get an update with regards to the CDBG programs. On the right-hand side, you can see Reese Miller, our Operation Fix-It. He is busy working on preparations for our fall festival. So the city of Scottsdale is having a fall festival here at the Civic Center area on October 18th. I believe it's from 4:30 to 8:30 or 5 to 8. I don't know the time exactly. I'm drawing a blank. But Human Services has a theme of apples and gingham. It will be a retro vintage feel. That is the type of event. And you will have to come out to the event to see what this picture will be turning into. And last but not least, Via Linda Senior Center. So before I talk about the photo up there, I want to talk a little bit about some of the senior services that are currently going on. Summer Memory Camp. Senior Services launched a new program called Summer Memory Camp, offering meaningful services to Scottsdale residents experiencing memory loss. The vision was to provide structured, engaging activities that support cognitive functioning while also offering emotional support and resources to the participants. The program was offered monthly both at Granite Reef and Via Linda Senior Center in June, July, and August, and had an average monthly attendance of 25 pictures. She did provide me with pictures. I can forward them to if you would like, but I did not get them in time to put them, and it's my fault for missing the email to put them on the PowerPoint, but I'll be happy to share those pictures with you if you so choose. With regards to HEAF, the demand for the HEAF funding remains high, reflecting the ongoing need for utility assistance in our community. To date, the program has provided critical support from Arizona Public Service, Salt River Project, and Southwest Gas. They have provided $5,841 in APS assistance and approximately $24,800 in SRP assistance and $2,200 in Southwest Gas. All right, and as you guys know, the Via Linda Senior Center the bond project is moving forward for Via Linda expansion. The design is currently underway. This is a sneak peek. The design has been tweaked since this one, but this is a sneak peek of the expansion of what we'll have some additional space at Via Linda. You can see that there's 2 additional large rec rooms or ballrooms. We have an entryway on the bottom left-hand side. It doesn't look green up there, but it looks green on my screen. That is the warming kitchen, so people can park in the parking lot and bring the food into the kitchen. With regards to Honor Health, who brings in the congregate meals for their programs. You can see the lobby along with the bathrooms. There will also be a family bathroom with an adult changing area to meet ADA standards and those with special needs. The additional thing that I forgot about Granite Reef is that we are working with Honor Health on a feasibility study for adult daycare, which is also one of the bond projects. That concludes my presentation, and I'll be happy to answer any questions about what's going on in Human Services.
No, I do not see any questions from Commissioner Cooley. And so if he doesn't have any questions, I suspect nobody else does. But
I do.
yeah, okay.
I have a question, Mary. I see a lot of square footage numbers up there, but what are we currently in terms of square feet, and then where will we be after this change?
After the change, it'll be about 4,600 additional square feet. Current square footage, Jean, is?
$4,000? 4,000?
4,000 total for both areas, but what is the current square footage for Via Linda? Over 22,000 square feet, so it's an additional, probably up to 4,600 square feet for space and programming.
25%, that's great.
Go ahead. He's going, hold on, we're getting him a
Microphone,
microphone
wow.
so that the,
So if you can imagine, in terms of number of people right now, we top out at about 100, 120-something people in the largest room that we have, which is literally 3 small rooms turned into room 1, 2, and 3. And so we're going to be growing up to close to 300 capacity rooms that we have, so in those 2 ballrooms. So we're looking really forward to that, and then also maintaining the square footage that we have in the original building and so forth. So pretty exciting for us, and we're starting to, we're working on a 3D rendering that hopefully we'll be able to bring back to the commission. So
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay, seeing no other, oh.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much, Roger. Thanks, Mary. Wonderful as always to get filled in. Appreciate that. So glad to hear that the trolley's going to the food distribution center. That's huge. Now, if we could just get them over to NOAA for the Cholla Health Center. I think that came up during one of the focus groups for the strat plan, so I don't know if there's any, should I ask the Transportation Commission about that?
Chair Lurie, members of the commission, in order to add permanent routes, a transit feasibility study would need to occur. So that would be a conversation directed to our transportation manager for the city of Scottsdale, Nathan Domi.
Gotcha. Okay. Very good. And do you happen to know if any of the Mayor's Youth Council carried over from previous years?
Chair Lurie, members of the commission, I don't know that answer tonight, but I can get back to you.
Thank you.
And speaking of the Mayor's Youth Council, they will appoint or designate 2 representatives to help evaluate our grants.
Great.
Like last year. Isn't that correct?
Chair Lurie, members of the commission, correct.
All right. I think we're at the point to identify future agenda items. Our next meeting, I believe, is September 11th. We will hold elections for chair and vice chair. And I believe, Sue, we will have a homeless outreach update at the next meeting, including having Phoenix Rescue Mission and Community House here. Excellent. Looking forward to that. Are there other agenda items? Yes, Commissioner Quillen.
Who would have thought? Mary, is it appropriate for us to have a landlord update now that you're liaison-less?
Liaison-less.
Sans liaison, without liaison.
Chair Lurie, members of the commission, I can put that on the Scottsdale Housing Agency Governing Board.
Yes, thanks. I know those people. Thank you.
It's a good question.
I actually have a question. I was speaking with a group of people that are north of the Via Linda Senior Center, and they are very curious to know if and when, what is going to happen, if anything is going to happen in the north side of Scottsdale.
A
more.
senior center further north?
Is that going to be possible, or is there something in the works for that?
Chair Lurie, members of the commission, are you asking me if there's going to be another senior center?
Well, I'm just asking if that's something that can be agendized or you could talk about, or, I mean, if there's an answer to it, I would love to know, but.
Chair Lurie, members of the commission, I'll put it down to follow up on that.
Okay, thank you.
There are home-delivered meals provided in North Scottsdale by Area Agency on Aging.
Yeah, North Scottsdale is a very large geographic area. Perhaps auxiliary services in that north region it sounds like something worth having on a future agenda. Other items? Okay.
Chair Lurie, members of the commission, may I ask for clarification? Are you specifically asking about senior services or social services in general? What is the gap you are requesting to be addressed?
I'm looking at Cindy.
I think, I just know I'm getting a lot of questions about what is available for a lot of folks up there, and sometimes the location is deceptive as to what people's means actually are, or even what's available to them, even if they do have means, but what's available to them as seniors. So I think if you could answer the question broadly, I think that would be wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, could I get a motion? Oh, did you have another agenda item?
Thanks, Roger. I was at a meeting yesterday or a couple days ago with Brandon Chapman, the city's volunteer coordinator. And there's so much going on in the city relative to our services. I think it might be informative for Brandon to make a presentation to us about volunteer opportunities throughout the city. So it would be, I think it would be very informative, and it was surprising how much we're involved in as from a volunteer standpoint.
Scope-wise, would we be limited to volunteer opportunities as it relates to human services?
Chair Lurie, members of the commission, I believe so, but we can have Brandon Chapman come and talk about the new electronic system that we're using, and I can have Deanna also co-present with him, as that is her focus with regards to the strategic plan.
Very good. Good question. All right, could I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved?
A second?
Seconded.
All right, and a roll call vote.
Chair Laurie,
Yes?
Yes.
Commissioner Jamison,
Yes.
Commissioner Rowe,
Yes.
Commissioner Jung,
Yes.
Vice Chair Jung, you get 2 votes. Commissioner Cooley,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill.
Yes.
All right, we are adjourned.